earlier with like the whole role model thing. Like if you're coming into the situation, your job and that's your occupation, you already know about the stuff that comes with it, good and bad. So you should be prepared for it and how it comes to you in either way. Maybe it's just me. But
are you prepared for everything that's going to happen to you for the rest of your life?
I'm not prepared for everything. I'm not.
Bingo.
I'm not.
Right there.
But that's what I'm saying. So let's get back on topic. The thing that
a dude who got scammed last year.
But I'm just saying he should know.
The reason why I'm saying this is like, so is it that NFL players are getting robbed more? Is it that we know about it more? Or is it just that they're making more money and they're just making more audacious and getting more careless about it?
I think maybe it's more audacious.
So make sure it's the culture. It's the climate. Because it's different back then.
Because
like even
it's a cloud culture.
Let's say side piece culture.
Because even having
side piece culture back then, you didn't come near that person's family.
Exactly.
No,
like,
but even now, having two girls is clout.
Like, no. I think it's the fact that we have more access to it.
I think that's part of it.
It's definitely
more
access.
Think
cats is being raised different.
No. Because I've heard some shit with my family and back and other people in general. I don't think
But I think what Kenny's
to media.
I think that's part of it, but I think what Kenny's getting to is like it's just different. Even having like now having two girls is a thing. It's like it's not that NFL players before didn't have two girls.
It's flossing.
It's that now you have to tell everyone you have two girls. Before you might have 4 or 5 and have one main and nobody knows about the other 3.
Yeah.
But now it's like now I got to be like Lou Will and have 2 girls.
And not everybody's Iceberg Slim or Iced Tea. You ain't just gonna have. You're not gonna have people in the tuck.
No,
or even if you flip it to like
in the 70s, 80s, 90s culture, that was still a whole big thing to be a pimp. And whether if it was like blaxploitation, you have like the black guy with the girls.
But he didn't say girls. He said girlfriends.
Yes,
like we're in a police report. Like we're in a polygamous relationship. Like
on
these
a police report.
Like these are both of my girlfriends. Like I'm in a relationship with both of them.
He lied on himself and dirty macked himself on a police report.
Honestly,
who raised you?
I'm gonna be very honest. I think we were a lot more careless back then about if there was two. I think that we
I see the slight point in that
because like masculinity and patriarchy that whole shit was way stronger than it is now. Now we nip that shit in the butt. So you hear about hold on.
I mean, technically, this is a case of toxic femininity.
Listen. If
two women robbed a man.
Yeah, but listen, if we hear about 2 girlfriends right now, we're gonna be like, oh shit, he got 2 girlfriends, but and whatever, like he's a fucked up guy, like you said, toxic. I
said toxic femininity because 2 women robbed a man for no reason other than because they could.
But back then, they'll probably be like, oh, like women, they don't need to say nothing. They gotta hush their mouth because I'm a man. Like that's how they used to think.
No, that was more like it was street rules. Like if you are a side piece, you act as a side piece. You do not blow up the relationship, male or female.
Come on, guys. How many old school movies are out there where the side piece is always talking
to That's a movie. I'm talking about real life.
But this isn't a side piece. This isn't a side piece. These are equals. These are 2 women.
But still, I think like with the whole, like again, with the 70s and the pimp lifestyle, how that was a big thing. Having 2 girlfriends, that you're a Mac. I'm pretty...
I think you're kind of grasping at straws right now.
I know. I think they were more dismissive about it back then, and it was more hush, like we're not going to really talk about it, and it's not a concern compared to now.
There was respect in the game back then. There's no respect in the game now.
Or people are just calling shit out now.
That's what I'm saying. There's no respect. Like people being raised different. Also too, there's no morals. Like Pete said, there's clout.
But also people are super ignorant and feel like, there's no such thing as polyamory and all the other shit.
Polyamorous?
Or no,
polygamous.
Polygamous.
But that's different. That's like that's one way.
Polygamous?
Isn't it one way? It's not like there's no female polygamous.
Yes.
Isn't that called a different thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that called something else?
No.
Polygamous is.
I thought it was called something totally
different.
It's
just the act of having more than one spouse.
All right. Next up.
Yeah.
But he's a simp either way.
Next up, man. Topic you talked about on IG earlier this week. Topic. Basically, David Johnson says he's the best running back in the league.
Shout out to Aaron Barry.
AP
asked me that fantasy question.
Yeah. AP said he wants 2K. You gave your top 5 running backs. So who's going to be the top running back coming up?
I get my top 5 fantasy running backs. I think my top 5 running backs per se.
So who's going to be your top running back this year? If it's not David Johnson, if it's not AP, who is it?
I'm going to shock everybody and say Christian McCaffrey. I can't believe I'm saying it. They're gonna overdose him 125 balls this year. You telling me they're not? How many catches did he have last year? How many catches? He almost had 1,000 yards receiving, and he didn't average 10 yards a catch. But that pisses me off altogether because Marshall Faulk actually averaged over 10 yards a catch.
So he's better than Le'Veon. He's better than Gurley.
He's not better. But they already said they're not going to give Gurley the ball as much. They drafted Darrell Henderson. I'm looking at if Cam Newton's arm isn't ready, which I guess kind of bleeds into our next topic. But like if his arm isn't ready, they're going to have to turn around and hand the ball off. They're going to have to get innovative with the amount of skill players they have, and they have a good amount of skill players. Samuels, DJ Moore's taking the next step. McCaffrey. Couple other guys on that team, like
Kamara, Freeman.
That's the thing, though. You have Kamara in New Orleans, but they're a passing offense. Did you really just say LaShawn
Kareem Hunt, Fournette?
Yeah, you're not
Mark
gonna,
Ingram.
You're not going to disrespect
Joe
Chubb
Mixon.
Like that. Okay, Joe Mixon.
Melvin Gordon.
Joe Mixon will take the next step, but
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook is in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, so he's stuck. But I'm just telling you. McCaffrey, what the hell is that?
An ad.
But if you look at McCaffrey, it's either McCaffrey or Saquon. If I'm being honest, because Saquon's the easy pick. Because he arguably was the best running back in the league last year as a rookie. And they got a better offensive line. So it's like, I'm not going to pick the same.
I'm taking Zeke.
That's cheating too. Because has he not been the best running back since he came in the league? Top 3? And not top. And like he's been one of the best.
Okay, exactly. So he's going to maintain that.
How do you know he's going to maintain that?
Why wouldn't he? He hasn't given me any indication to fall off.
They have receivers.
He hasn't given me any indication to fall off.
Dak wants the ball.
And you know how I feel. And you know how I feel about white skill players and white basketball players.
Ouch.
So there you go.
Cole Beasley's not even there anymore.
We're in. Let's talk about it. So I'm talking about it.
Cole Beasley's not even there anymore, bro. Did you hate his bars more than I did?
Damn.
Cole Beasley's not
you
even
didn't even want to
Cowboys.
argue with me after you're saying that. Huh?
I don't. Like, I get it. Jason Witten's gonna get a bunch of balls. The Colorado State receiver.
But I think we can both agree it's not David Johnson. Can we agree there?
In that offense, no. They're going to use him as a decoy, which kind of sucks.
And honestly, I don't even know if AP is going to get his 2K with Gusay coming back because Gusay's my boy. So shout out to Gusay.
Darius Weiss?
Whatever. I don't know.
You still don't know how to say his name.
You don't know how either.
I just said Darius Weiss. Go look up the pronunciation. But anyway, you look at individual player, yes, I could make the case for David Johnson being the best overall running back in the NFL. He just plays behind a shitty team, offensive line. He had 3.7 yards to carry last year.
How about you just win more than 6 games so we can actually see him in a primetime game?
That's
How
not
about
fair.
that? Let's start there.
Bro, he was killing it his second year and first year in the league. But he plays in Arizona, where good players are forced to stay there in some type of just dark, disgusting hellscape of just failure.
All right, Gerald McCoy.
Free Patrick Peterson.
Signed with the Carolina Panthers, staying in the NFC South. You asked the question earlier this week on Instagram. Does that make the Panthers a contender?
A Super Bowl contender.
We talked about it on Anchor, which you can catch. Touchdowns and tangents overtime.
Yes, indeed.
So you don't have to go too deep into it since we've already talked about it.
Shout out to BBS.
But real quick, what do you make of Gerald McCoy going to the Panthers?
It's interesting because they got Brian Burns in the first round. I think they picked up a tackle in the second or third round. They got the Taylor Moton, the Western Michigan guy last year. They're trying to fix the offensive line.
I just think it's crazy that McCoy took less money than he would have got with the Ravens, less reps because the Panthers have a deeper defensive line, to essentially play the Panthers twice. So, as I said in the Anchor,
Buccaneers twice.
I mean, the Buccaneers twice.
Because they gave Ndamukong his number. The body wasn't even cold yet.
Oh, I didn't even know all that. That's fade.
I
ain't even mad at him.
You didn't see the picture?
That just threw off my whole take.
That threw off my whole take. And a Rams gloves on.
Take. I'm hot. Bro. I'm hot for McCoy.
I saw the picture.
That's fade.
I tweeted.
That is fade.
Bruh. They signed soon.
That's like if me and you. That's like if me and you like went our separate ways like 20 years from now, and then like all of a sudden like ESPN just fired me and then hired you. Like literally the next day.
Like to do the exact same thing?
Yeah. Like
to be the exact same corporate shill? Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's fade. I'm hot for McCoy.
Nah, it's like I take your parking space and I have the same exact car as you.
Damn.
But a year older.
Here I thought it was all about him, teabagging Jameis Winston when he sacks him twice a year.
But honestly, I mean, you look at him you have him, Quan Short. I wonder what number he's going to wear because Quan Short wears 93, if I'm not mistaken. So you got Quan Short, who the Raiders passed on. Quan Short, Vernon Butler out of Louisiana Tech, their former first-round pick.
I've never felt bad for an Oklahoma player until Gerald McCoy.
I always rooted for Gerald McCoy, but he played
for Oklahoma. Too, but
he played for Oklahoma, so I hated it. And I'm going to get some Texas slander in later. But anyway, my GPA allows for it. So anyway.
The other topic that we discussed this week.
They're running a 3-4 defense, by the way, the Panthers. So you have probably, Shaq Thompson.
Which is stupid.
Kuechly.
Which is stupid.
It is stupid. But Brian Burns.
Because their linebackers have so much range, you're just taking it away.
I think they really
Unless you're going to let Thompson play in a hybrid.
Inside linebacker. He's going to play inside linebacker. Him and Kuechly. Because Kuechly's going to do all the heavy lifting inside. And also, they're trying to get all the pressure off. What makes Kuechly
so good is that he can run sideline to sideline.
But if you're wearing him down and all those concussions, like, bro, you might want to switch to a 3-4 and just let him drop back in the coverage.
It's like putting a big-ass dog in an apartment.
I want to know.
Like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, okay, it'll maintain. But at the same time, that's not its nature. That's not what it knows. That's not what it wants to do. That's not what it wants to play. So if all of a sudden Kuechly goes from playing the whole field to only playing half of it, then when he starts naturally wanting to venture off to the other half that he's not supposed to be at, now you got two people doing the same job, and that's when you have...
Nah, because, I mean, they worked that out with Thomas Davis and Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson took a lot of the coverage reps.
But I'm talking about schematically.
I get what you're saying.
Just your assignments.
I want to know who's playing the other outside. Are they going to just have Brian Burns as a true pass rusher in a Von Miller type role, and then they have like an actual Sam outside linebacker on the other side? Because some 3-4 defensive have nuance. Some guys just have two edge rushers, and then you got two linebackers in coverage. But if you got Gerald McCoy and Quan Short, I think they're trying to get guys upfield and then just worry about coverage. Because they fixed their safety issue. They fixed their cornerback issue. And their linebackers are the heart and soul of their defense. Let's be honest. And then you got a strong defensive line. That may be the thing that saves their defense. You never know. I think it's is it Steve Wilkes who's running their defense now? Is he back? Or I forget who's running their defense, but they're running a 3-4. And I think in years past, I would say it's a bad idea because they had three good linebackers for a while. But you got to preserve Kuechly the best way you can.
Next up, the other topic that we discussed, Calvin Johnson has essentially said, look,
run me my money.
The Lions, basically, when he retired early, took back $1 million of a signing bonus, made him pay it back, and Calvin Johnson basically hasn't been back since. And he says
he's been pissed about it ever since.
If he gets his $1 million back, he'll make good with the team and start showing up at training camps and doing alumni appearances and public speaking events and just be present. So we posed the question, should they run him his money? And really, the better question should have been, who doesn't think he shouldn't get his money? Because Calvin Johnson is basically one of the best players to ever play wide receiver, one of the best players to ever wear a Detroit Lions uniform.
Him and Barry Sanders.
And let's be real, the Lions are desperate for stars.